We all know, needs no introduction, but Gwendolyn Christie, I'm so excited that you're here.
Hi, thank you.
So I gotta ask right away, has it completely sunk in that you're done filming Game of Thrones?
I actually don't think it has.
Yeah.
I think it's a funny thing, you know, the show has been such a huge part of my working life, you know, and part of my life, and it's so beloved that actually you kind of got used to with the show that you would go and you'd film it, and you felt like you were having this sort of private experience of the work because you love the work and you love the people you're working with, and then you'd go home and you'd go back to your life, and then I'd always be shocked that it was on television. I know, it's ludicrous, but I'd be so shocked at this sort of private experience that I was having, was watched by all these people. And it is increasingly emotional to think that it will be the last series, but, you know, they really squeeze the orange on this one. So I think it will be very memorable for everybody.
Oh, okay. I want to ask. So what was that last day, that last scene of shooting for you like? So it was incredibly emotional, sad, a little happy, I don't know.
People keep asking me this, and I think the more I think about it and the more you get in contact with it, the clearer idea you start to have of it. But I told myself for a long time, be prepared that one day this will end. But of course, you know, the thing is, the amazing thing about Game of Thrones is that, of course, normally for actors, if you do a TV show, you feel like you have some kind of regular employment, and that allows you a great stability. Not so with Game of Thrones, because instead each year, you know, it doesn't matter, you just don't, you never know what's going to happen. So, and David and Dan, the writers, David Benioff and Dan Weiss, had always said the very worst death they thought that they could imagine was to die off screen. So each year you'd think, well, even though at the end of this series I seem to be alive, what if the scripts arrive and there's just someone comes in and saying, oh, wasn't it a shame that Brienne just spontaneously combusted? So, you know, but what was good is that it meant you never got lazy about it. But in answer to your question, I had prepared myself, you know, this is going to come and I will be upset, but actually nothing could really prepare me for it. And it was, you know, coming up to the end of the day, and of course the showrunners were doing this, you know, something for us whereby they, you know, they would announce that you were wrapped and they would say a few words. And I told myself, just breathe, it's fine. I'm lucky that I ever had this job. And they said something nice about me, and then I just started to sob. And I didn't stop for 2 hours. And so I'm going into hair and like having things taken out my hair and the makeup taken. She's still going. And I'm walking off to costume, having things go, she's still going. And I'm going and saying goodbye to someone else still, and people are saying, and literally crew members are saying, she's still going. Stop crying. No, she's still going. And it was hugely emotional, but I think it's important to really, you know, let those things out. But I'm imagining that when, you know, once the show's on and it finishes, then that really will feel like, you know, it's ending.
Yeah.
That will be the finality.
I'm not
sobbing for 2 weeks, I would imagine. That's what I'm scheduling in. Just a 2-week-long sobbing session.
Just sort of a period of mourning.
Yeah, and then right back ready to work.
But you need that time. Is it personal, or can you tell us what they said, or is it like, that's just for me?
I think that's just for me, and probably for the behind-the-scenes documentary you will all see.
All right, so we'll find out there. So is there something that fascinates me about the show is there are so many people and locations. Is there any one actor or location or character that you wish you'd gotten more time or more experience with, that maybe, you know, just by virtue of the story, you just didn't?
Well, the easy answer, of course, is all of them.
Yeah.
Because I am a fan of the show and I do love the characters in it. But Michelle Fairley, Catelyn Stark, who always felt like the real heart of the show.
Absolutely.
She felt like the mother of the show. And she really led the company too, in terms of as a group of actors. She led us all, and you know, I hadn't really done a lot of screen work. I'd acted, but I hadn't done a lot of screen work. So Michelle really taught me an awful lot, and was incredibly kind and extremely funny, but she took care of me and was enormously encouraging. And I felt a strong sense of, you know, there was a proper friendship and a female solidarity there, which enables you to go forward with confidence. And I also loved in the books the whole storyline of Lady Stoneheart.
Yeah.
That I was really looking forward to.
Yeah.
But, you know, hopefully, fingers crossed, Michelle and I will work on something else.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, hopefully.
The behind the scenes doc, you guys.
Yeah, and in the behind the scenes documentary.
So is there anything that you won't miss? That goodbye, good luck, I won't miss that.
You know, the armor is incredible, but I will not miss the physical pain of that particular costume.
So it is incredibly, it is actually heavy. Is it actually made to be armor? Is that, you know, could you get the fight in it?
Well, I mean, yeah, I suppose you could. I mean, it was made for me, and it was beautifully designed by Michelle Clapton. I mean, what an incredible job. It was all her design was so personal. And of course, the best design is that it's very personal. The references are very clear, but they're also they're interpreted, and it resulted in this phenomenal world. So, I mean, I basically have had fights in it.
Yeah.
So it operates, it functions. But I think it weighed something like 2.5 stone.
And for those of us who don't, what is that?
Sorry, I'm British. And clearly from 1931. What is that?
2.5 stone. How much?
25. 35. 35 pounds. 35 pounds, ladies and gentlemen.
35. So do you know how everything ends, every storyline ties out, or are there surprises for you as well in the final 6 episodes?
Well, I thought I knew.
Huh.
But then I saw some articles saying that multiple endings have been filmed.
What?
And I also know, I found out last week that the HBO series Big Love also filmed multiple endings. So maybe I don't know, but maybe I do.
Torture. So how hard is it? I know we're doing, but to not be able to talk about your work for so long. Obviously you can talk about your work, but to have to, I guess not talk about the specifics of things that you've shot, or, and then you have, you know, people like me who are dying to know. Is it a challenge to kind of keep so much of that to yourself for so long?
Yep. Initially it was so strange because I was doing this incredible job, even though I started in series 2, so at that point the show wasn't the kind of spectacular, successful phenomena that it is now. But people were excited about it. But I couldn't talk about what I was doing at work. And so that was very strange because, you know, I wanted to show off because I'd finally got a job. But, you know, I learned over time that you can take a certain pride in wanting to keep those secrets, because really what it's about, I think, is that, you know, now we have so much information. We have the internet in our pocket. We have access to multiple worlds, multiple universes, the kind of information that we never thought we could have access to, and many things that we don't understand, and increased learning of the things that we do know. There is so much information now that the idea of there being something as old-fashioned as a story, and I really think there is nothing as powerful as a good story. And the idea of keeping that a secret so that we can all be held in this incredible, almost childlike wonder about what will happen next. And now we don't really have so much of a culture of live experience. We experience things through a device, through a screen. And instead of there being a live experience where we all feel something together and you feed off each other's energy and you can't help but become infected by that energy, now we have this other new world where we have a story that we're desperate to know what's going to happen, and as a consequence we're all held by it, and we're all communicating with each other across the world about it, you know?
Yeah.
So, and we're all finding that story out together. And even the way that people watch episodes, but they don't leak spoilers. It's a wonderful kind of respect for a story. It's a respect for the human experience, that we can all share something and be swept away, and to be frank, taken out of our lives and how challenging they can be. So with all of that in mind, it's even harder to keep my mouth shut. But that's what I want to do. So I don't. And also, to be frank, you know, no one needs to know anything more about me and my boring life and views and opinions. So it puts me in a much better place to actually ask someone else about what they're doing. And that will be more interesting for me too.
Yeah.
And then I can show off about it at the end.
And then, yeah.
Then at the end, I can show off about everything I've done.
Only at the end. Yeah, no, I think there is the concept of appointment television, that we sit down, watch it together. It's a communal experience, not just with the people you're watching it with, but with everybody that you know is sitting in front of their TV at the same time.
And this extends now beyond the sort of cinematic experience or theatrical experience of maybe there being, you know, a large theatre with 2,000 people watching a play, or a concert where there's maybe 22,000 people. This is a global experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what makes it so magical, is that we can actually all be united through a love of this thing.
Yep, same place, same time, and we all feel a million different ways about it, but yeah. Okay, so one of my favorite parts of the show, and I think everyone's, is the relationships are adult and nuanced. And I want to ask you about some of the relationships that Brienne has had with various people, and get your take as an actor, you know, what was really kind of going on in your process. So the first is, going back, is Renly. So how, we've heard different points, and at one point she pretty explicitly lays out what the feelings were, but as an actor, did you feel it was the truth that, you know, Brienne wasn't in love, in quotes, with Renly? Is she being honest there? Or, yeah, like, how did you feel playing that relationship?
Oh, that's interesting. Why do you think she wouldn't be being honest?
I don't know. I think she was badgered so much about it.
Yeah.
That, and at the point in time when she sort of lays out, no, of course I wasn't in love with him. That maybe she's kind of done some work, or gotten herself to the point, done some work.
She's done some work on herself. she's read a self-help book, and she's feeling fresh and ready to give things a go in a new way.
This is the degree to which I'm thinking. I'm like, you know, okay, but
Brienne's downloaded an app on mindfulness.
she's just in Headspace.